Great honor to welcome you all to the National Conference on Psychiatry Teaching and Learning Practices in Indian Medical Institutions. Today, we gather to share insights, celebrate achievements, and explore ways to enhance psychiatric education in India's medical landscape. We are truly privileged to have a distinguished panel of guests, leaders, and experts from across the country. I request all the dignitaries to kindly grace the dais: Dr. B.N. Gangadhar, Dr. Pratima Murthy, Dr. Charles Davis, Dr. Arvind Kasturi, and Dr. Kishore M. To begin this special occasion, we are delighted to introduce our chief guest, Mrs. Sudha Murthy, renowned philanthropist, author, and a source of inspiration for countless individuals. She sends her good wishes and extends her continued support for our initiatives. We thank her in her absentia. We also extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guests of honor, Dr. B.N. Gangadhar, Chairman of National Medical Council, and Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director NIMHANS. Thank you all for gracing with your presence today. I request our guests of honor to share their insights. Please join me in welcoming Dr. B.N. Gangadhar to address the gathering.
Very good morning to all of you in this program. I am blessed that there are my teachers in this auditorium and many distinguished colleagues, and some of them have been my students. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you on this occasion of what you are trying to further teaching, training in psychiatry to both undergraduates, postgraduates, and of course, not many, but some super specialty trainees as well. I don't want to take a lot of time. I know there are very, very intense panel discussions that are happening. I just want to flag a couple of issues which might be of interest to the discussions here. One is over the last 30, 40 years, a lot of changes have happened in psychiatry, and year after year we seem to be growing with respect to knowledge and the way in which we are approaching psychiatry practice. And the importance of primary care psychiatry has been growing. Put together, since we were all taught in a mental hospital setting, which is largely tertiary care, so I think I have always felt that a training at the primary care is very, very important. I'm sure a group like this, working in a general hospital, would probably be able to take this forward. And I'm sure there are many other components which you will be discussing at length, and revising the curriculum, improving the competence amongst those who are coming out, both undergraduate and the postgraduate level trainees. Since we know that the numbers of trained human resource in mental health has been a serious challenge, and also we have given a commitment to the Parliament by way of, we means I'm talking of professionals as well as the government, has given a commitment to the Parliament when the National Mental Health Care Act, the Mental Health Care Act was promulgated, that in 10 years we will bring this mental health care in our country to international standards. I don't know what is that international standards meant to be, although we need to define that by a consensus, but it's true that they are expecting care standards of mental health in the country to largely increase. And one of the deficiencies that is often pointed out is lack of human resource in mental health, and lack of quality human resource is what I think you are also going to be addressing in this meeting. And I wish the meeting the very best, and thank you for I thank the organizers for inviting me to be with you on this occasion. Best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Now I request Dr. Pratima Murthy to deliver the address.
Good morning and thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be amidst you. It's a small number, but I know it's a very, very committed number of people who've come together to discuss various aspects of psychiatric training and learning practices in Indian medical institutions. First of all, I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge many of our senior teachers who are here in the audience. I always believe we've stood on the shoulders of giants as we progress in becoming effective teachers in psychiatry. So each one of them who's going to be honored today represent an important beacon of not just knowledge, but also commitment of what perhaps in the management parlance is called a T-type teacher, with a good broad knowledge of the area, but also in-depth knowledge in some of the areas, but more importantly, their capacity to mentor, to be empathetic, to encourage us to think critically, to be available to us, and to really be a fund of knowledge and experience is something that we all treasure. Two of them are my own teachers sitting in the audience here, as well as Dr. Mohan Isaac. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you from the bottom of our hearts, because I think that is the true inspiration for all of us to actually live up to the ideals of a good teacher. It's very funny that many of the qualities of leadership and being a teacher are very, very similar. So I think in terms of the kind of leadership they provide to generations of students is really, really something to acknowledge and be proud about. The second is the whole idea of looking at not just undergraduate training, but postgraduate training and subspecialty training in a single kind of, in a day, and looking at all three of them in a comprehensive manner. We generally tend to compartmentalize this. For example, I come from primarily a postgraduate training center where the focus is really on, getting specialists in psychiatry and in developing subspecialties. And we've realized that even the conferences that have been held on psychiatric training have been independent conferences. Some focusing on UG training, some focusing on PG training, and others on subspecialty training. So I think it's very useful to have this occurring in the same context so that we really understand that perhaps when we talk about training in psychiatry, we need to move the graph in the left direction to also make sure that we encourage interest in psychiatry and encourage young students to think of psychiatry and mental health in that integrated framework, which is so important and perhaps somewhere missing in our parlance. For a long time, people have said psychiatry is full of jargon, we don't understand psychiatry. And therefore, to make it more meaningful in the context of whole health, physical as well as mental health, I think it's very important. It's also encouraging that organizations like the WHO now look at combining these divisions into mental, neurological, and substance use disorders. So really not compartmentalizing the brain and mind, but looking at it together. So I think that training that we give both our undergraduates as well as postgraduates needs to focus on that. Day before yesterday, we had a conference on bipolar mood disorders at NIMHANS, and we had a fascinating talk from a professor from Deakin University who spent about 30 years looking at how drugs used in medical disorders can be repurposed for psychiatric disorders. I think that's something that, that is a very, very novel way of thinking about it. So he was talking about antihypertensives, anti-diabetic medication, anti-inflammatory medication, and how they might be useful, for example, in the treatment of depression. So therefore, I think the most important thing is really to look at this kind of integration. Similarly, when we look at the management of medicine, we need to look at a whole lot of factors, both within the individual and environmental, which can influence a person's response to treatment and outcome. And we also know that there is such a huge overlap between physical and mental disorders that unless you attend to both, the prognosis of both, the outcome of both, and the response to both can all be affected. And therefore, undergraduate training becomes so very, very, very important. Dr. Gangadhar alluded to the shortage of mental health care professionals, and consistently there has been an attempt to increase that. And I think now, sir, I don't remember the exact number, maybe Jaga can help me with that. We've more than doubled the number of psychiatrists who come out every year. So certainly the number of training centers for postgraduate training has doubled, and many centers do offer postgraduate training. But with it comes the responsibility of maintaining quality. It's not just about meeting the ratios, but also ensuring that the quality of professionals who come out practice safely, practice in a way that is useful to people, and also in some ways at least a part of them become trainers in psychiatry. So extending the point that Dr. Gangadhar was making, particularly in many of the large psychiatric institutions which are run by state governments, there is no training program. And one of the things that we've offered to the government is to conduct, to make these also postgraduate centers, so that a lot more trainees, psychiatrists can come out of these centers, not just psychiatrists, but also clinical psychologists, psychiatric social workers, psychiatric nurses, and so on, that we can actually increase this particular, improve this particular ratio of mental health care professionals to the general population. The other thing that, of course, we've looked at is digital training. NIMHANS has a very successful digital academy which is running several training programs, both diploma and certificate programs, not just in some of the general psychiatry areas, but substance use as well as subspecialty training. So this again can be a really, a change maker, a catalyst in making sure that many people, particularly those who are in general medical care, get the nuances. And one of the things I was reading the other day, violence against doctors is something that has been very topical. Every day we see this happening. But there is a counter argument saying that, in fact, this was a discussion in one of the groups, saying that when you go to a doctor, in so many instances, people are met with impatience, hostility, complete lack of empathy. And I think somewhere along this, in all specialties of medicine, particularly in our young people who are at the front of particularly emergency care, teaching them these communication skills, helping them to de-escalate situations and handle this becomes very important. Unfortunately, we mustn't lose these very, very important skills in psychiatry itself and, convert it into a pill-pushing kind of, profession. So I think understanding the importance of communication, compassion, empathy, and being able to train our students is very important. So as the number of students grows, it becomes impossible to do what our teachers did with us. I mean, they almost personalized one-on-one. And therefore, we need to have structure. We need to have structure so that everybody has an equal chance of being trained and coming out being a confident professional in the area. And some of the topics in this program today look at how this training, might help that. Of course, it doesn't mean that all structured training has only advantages and no disadvantages. So how do you recognize the advantages and how do you overcome the difficulties and the challenges of structured training is an important area that we need to discuss. I also wanted to congratulate ITOPS, Kishore, Suhas, Dr. Mohan Isaac, who's not here today, and many others have provided so much, lots of you have provided so much leadership to this, and I think it's very important to take it forward. I'm finally ending. I just wanted to say at NIMHANS too, for more than a decade, we've been doing this training to develop professionalism in psychiatry, and this has been mentored by Dr. Norman Sartorius, one of the giants in psychiatry. And we hope that in addition to this, we will also train young professionals in remote parts of the country who may not have the kind of exposure that, let's say, institutes of national importance have. And therefore, we hope to strengthen this program further by having some kind of a visiting fellowship for students. We've been in discussion with the Indian Psychiatric Society as well as with the ITOPS, and I hope that emerges so that they really learn, they get enthused they become more passionate, and they also learn ways of finding their way around the many barriers that might be there in the more effective teaching of psychiatrists. Finally, why do we do all this? Because we want to improve patient care, and we also want to address the spectrum from illness to wellness, and I think in all that the training plays a huge role. So I wish the program all success, and I'm sure we're going to come out very enlightened on the way forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very valuable perspectives. Now I invite Dr. Arvind Kasturi, who is representing the management of St. John's, to deliver his address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Gangadhar, Professor Pratima Murthy, whom we consider friends of St. John's, all the organizers, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I now recognize my onerous responsibility of representing the management of St. John's. So on their behalf, it is my pleasure to welcome you to St. John's. For those of you who are here for the first time, we are a 61-year-old mission institution established to train the workforce to serve the medically underserved. That's what we are here for, and that's what we've been trying to do all these years with the Medical College, the College of Nursing, the Research Institute, and the place where I currently sit, which is St. John's Medical College Hospital. On all our behalf, I must thank and congratulate the Department of Psychiatry, with whom I think we have a very close relationship at the hospital administration, dealing with so many issues which concern so many lives. And also our thanks to the Indian Teachers of Psychiatry, or ITOP Forum, for organizing this. My primary affiliation is community health, and within community health, the care of older people at primary care. And coming from that perspective, I can see the enormous need, and echo Dr. Gangadhar's sentiments, the enormous need for sensitive mental health care, for whom at St. John's we call the last, the lost, and the least. And if this program and programs like this can enlighten minds to think of that constituency of people who do not necessarily have the ability or the access to come to hospitals like ours, but work out ways in which we can reach sensitive care to people like that out there in our country, I think this and other programs of this nature will serve their true objective. So with that, I know that you have a packed schedule, and I wish all the organizers, my colleagues in the Department of Psychiatry, the very best for a very productive day today. And I do hope that somewhere a light will be ignited which will serve the interests of those who need your services. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Now we have Dr. Kishore M., the coordinator of the Indian Teachers of Psychiatry Forum. I welcome him to give his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. It's an overwhelming feeling to be here at the St. John's. Most of the time when I used to come, I would be sick, and I used to spend time in some of the wards in this hospital. And coming here as this platform is absolutely different feel. And also because there are so many teachers in front of me. My teacher, Dr. Raghuram, is here. So some of my words will not come in a way I expect, because it brings back the memories of doing the presentation in front of him. So I was reading some of the works of Gautama Buddha and how it translated the scenario in Indian context. Very interestingly, 2500 years ago, when Gautama Buddha wanted to preach peace, knowledge, and talk concepts of enlightenment, some of the things we try in psychiatry. He had huge disciples. Ultimately, it was the King Ashoka who took it up in a very rigorous manner, and he propagated that. Interestingly, at the end of his time, when he was trying to bring the teachings of Buddha, he came to a place called Sanati. From there, he sent two of his emissaries to the southern part of India. One was in Rajghatta, outskirts of Bangalore. Other was in Mahishamandala, that's Mysore. That is the last point at which this document that they came, after which they went to Sri Lanka. Now if you look closely, Nimhans and St. John's, they are outskirts of Bangalore, if you have been in Bangalore for at least 30-40 years. And St. John's and Nimhans, where we come again and again, we personally think that is the center for learning. And that is where all things happen. And I want to tell, around 6 years back when we started this platform of Indian Teachers of Psychiatry at St. John's in August 8, 2018, we never imagined that we will be able to move this far in trying to work with numerous psychiatry teachers across India. We were looking at how the teachers are going to take up this task of coming together. You will be surprised in the audience. We have faculty from AIIMS Jammu. We have Dr. Pratap Sharam from AIIMS Delhi. We also have Vikas Menon from Pondicherry. So we have almost all faculty across India. This is something which has never happened, primarily for the interaction with the teaching learning goals. I think this is very unique model. This has never been tried in any branches of medical science. I think it's genuinely a contribution from the psychiatrists that in every field, if you bring the teachers together, changes will happen. That's one of the goals of this forum. And I should really thank Dr. Sunanda Kulkarni, who is sitting here, Sudha Murthy, and Infosys Foundation, who thought that, yes, we have to empower psychiatry teachers. If people would not have come forward, we would not have made this possible. Unless people come forward and say we are going to support, we can't do it. When we said 2,000 rupees is the registration fees for the conference, for 2 days hall, this is inadequate. You can't even pay the hall charges with the registration fees. So how do we make this? People have to spend from their pockets. Very interestingly, me and Suhas, when we drafted, we requested speakers, please pay the registration. I had to show that I have also paid the registration fees. This is something different, and we requested, and I'm really surprised everybody agreed. We did not pay for travel, we did not pay for accommodation. So it tells volumes of the people who have come from across India for this very important cause. There are many things which have been very unique at this conference. Our association with Indian Psychiatry Society UG committee led by Dr. N.M. Patil, the PG subcommittee led by Dr. Hinal Shah, they joined hands and said we should do these programs on this. So when we looked at who is going to register, very interestingly and very unique is that we had a very good number of registration from the undergraduates. Can you imagine there are 40 undergraduate students sitting in this hall, and you look at the hierarchy where they are sitting and they are on the last phase. All seniors are below and all juniors are above. That means the future of psychiatry will also be like that. They will carry forward something which we can't carry forward, and their involvement is very important for us, because unless they are part of the process, teaching learning is a difficult task at every level. For the first time in the history of psychiatry education, this conference is going to have workshop for postgraduates and senior residents on teaching skill. This is something which has not been done, but these are the people who take up faculty position in the institutions. Unless we say that the postgraduates should also be trained in the teaching skill, this cannot go hand. So tomorrow we have this, and we have more than 50 senior residents and postgraduates who have registered for the conference for this particular workshop, so that if they go to a medical college tomorrow, undoubtedly 80% of them will go. They should have some skill in engaging undergraduates. It cannot be they just walk in and they develop. It is something we have to nourish, and it's important that we nourish them when they are ready. And this platform is now going to allow the future psychiatry teachers to take it over and carry forward the things. We also tried many things, some of the souvenirs and other things which you have from all the money we have got. Dr. Suhas suggested that it should go to the people who make this. So 2 organizations of children with disability, they have designed the souvenirs, I think Pragati and Ishan. So all the money which has come has been pooled for their cause. So you will really enjoy having those. At the end of the day, we should contribute to whom we are serving. That's also the goal of this conference. So with this line of things, I would like to convey that psychiatry teachers face serious challenges with commercialization of education. It's not rewarding for psychiatry teachers to engage undergraduates and postgraduates in many institutions of this country where they don't feel respected, or they don't feel that it is rewarding to take up a teaching position in this. So in many challenges they face, we should see how do we do the capacity building of these teachers. And this peer group of Indian teachers of psychiatry is important that we support. We should support them at all levels wherever possible, because too many rapid changes which are happening, whether it is climate change or artificial intelligence or threat to some of the things we thought as health, will come, and we have to empower psychiatry teachers in this journey. So I'm really thankful, and I want to convey the last message that wherever teachers are strengthened, the society will survive. Wherever teachers are not strengthened, there is a difficulty and there is a pain in the long run. So I believe that for all the people who have come, please spread the message that it is the teachers who have to take this journey forward, and you should keep this passion in you. And some of you will be very lucky to have a student like Suhas Chandran, like I have, and this journey will carry forward. Thank you so much.